Chosen one, stop what you are doing for one moment. Do not rush past this. Do not treat this like ordinary noise. Archangel Michael is not whispering over you today. He is pleading because God already wrote a message for you last week, and your spirit has been trying to remember it. This did not reach you empty. This did not arrive without purpose. Heaven has a way of interrupting the chosen before the next door opens. You may have thought you were just tired, distracted, or too sensitive, but something in you knew that the past few days were carrying a weight you could not explain. Listen closely. Last week was not random. The delay was not random. The silence was not random. The strange feeling in your chest was not random. And that moment, when you paused for no reason, then felt like someone was trying to get your attention, that was not your imagination. God wrote something where you almost refused to look. He wrote it in repetition. He wrote it in delay. He wrote it in the sudden discomfort you felt around something that used to feel familiar. You kept trying to move forward, but heaven kept touching the same place in your spirit. You may have heard the same phrase more than once. Maybe someone said it casually. Maybe you saw it online. Maybe it came through a song, a memory, a verse, or a sentence that stayed with you after the moment passed. You tried to dismiss it, but it came back again. That was the first sign. Not thunder, not fire, not a voice shaking the room. It came as repetition, because God knows your spirit listens when a thing refuses to leave. The world calls it coincidence, but heaven calls it confirmation when the same truth keeps returning to your attention. Chosen one, you have been carrying a silent question. Why did that happen last week? Why did that person say that? Why did that plan suddenly shift? Why did your body feel heavy when everything looked fine on the outside? Something was speaking beneath the surface. You may have woken up in the night, not fully frightened, not fully peaceful, just awake. Your eyes opened before the morning came, and for a few seconds, you felt as if the room was listening with you. That was not empty waking. That was your spirit standing at attention. Do not shame yourself for missing it. Heaven is not speaking to condemn you. Michael is pleading because you are not abandoned. He is pleading because the message has not expired. He is pleading because what God wrote last week is still active over your life right now. The enemy wanted you exhausted. That was the strategy. Not destroyed, not fully stopped. Just tired enough to ignore the small signal. Just busy enough to call divine timing an inconvenience. Just wounded enough to doubt the very discernment that God placed inside you. You kept functioning. You answered messages. You handled tasks. You smiled when people expected you to be fine. But inside, your spirit was pressing against something invisible because you knew a shift had happened, even if no one around you could see it. You may have felt strangely pulled away from someone. Not hatred, not bitterness, just a holy distance. A conversation that used to excite you suddenly drained you. A place that used to feel safe suddenly felt tight, and your soul could not settle there anymore. That was not you becoming cold. That was God separating your appetite from what was no longer aligned. Sometimes the message is not written in what enters your life, but in what your spirit can no longer tolerate after heaven has changed your season. Chosen one, God did not write this message in a place where everyone could read it. He wrote it in the language of your own life. That is why others missed it. That is why they told you to calm down. They could not read what was addressed to your spirit. There was also a delay. Think carefully. Something did not happen when you expected. A reply did not come. A door did not open. A plan slowed down. A person hesitated. A decision felt blocked. You may have felt frustrated, but that delay was carrying protection. Delay is one of the ways God writes without shouting. He holds something back long enough for poison to surface. He slows a door long enough for motives to reveal themselves. He makes you wait because the version of the thing arriving too early would have harmed you. There was another sign. It was the heaviness that came around something familiar. You touched an old habit, and it no longer felt like home. You looked at an old connection, and something in you stepped back. You considered an old choice, and peace left the room. That was not fear. That was not confusion. That was discernment becoming louder than attachment. Heaven was showing you that the thing which once carried comfort now carries contamination, and your spirit reacted before your mind could build an excuse for staying. Your peace is not small. Your peace is a compass. When it leaves, pay attention. When it returns, pay attention. When your body becomes tense around a decision that looks perfect, do not mock the warning, because your spirit can see what your eyes cannot. Last week, God was not silent. He was precise. He used repetition to mark the truth. He used delay to protect the timing. He used discomfort to reveal misalignment. And he used your own inner witness because he knew strangers could not be trusted with this instruction. Do you understand why Michael is pleading now? Because the next step requires clarity. If you misread last week, you may run back to what God removed. If you call the delay rejection, you may force open a door that mercy was holding shut. Stay with this. The message is not finished. The first part was repetition. The second part was delay. The third part was separation. But beneath all three, there is one deeper sentence that heaven has been writing over you with patience, mercy, and holy urgency. That sentence is simple. Do not return to the thing that cost you your peace. Do not chase the thing that only opens when you abandon yourself. Do not mistake silence for absence when God is using quietness to protect what He is preparing. Do not ignore the pattern. Do not insult the delay. Do not negotiate with the discomfort. These three were not separate events. They were three parts of one divine message, and the next part will show you why the enemy worked so hard to blur them. Because the enemy did not need to erase the message. He only needed to make you question the way it came. He only needed you to say, maybe it was nothing. He only needed you to treat a holy warning like a passing mood. But it was not nothing. It was written. It was guarded. It was sent through the language of your own life. And the first sign was not loud, chosen one. The first sign was repeated, chosen one. The first sign was repetition. It came quietly, but it would not leave. A sentence kept returning. A number kept appearing. A face came back to your mind. And even when you tried to move on, the same small signal kept touching the edge of your attention, because heaven was circling what your tired spirit almost missed. That was not your mind playing games. God knows when your heart is tired. He knows when one message is not enough. So He repeats what matters, because mercy does not rush the one who is still healing. The world calls it chance, but heaven calls it confirmation when the same truth keeps returning with weight. Think back to last week. There was something you heard more than once. Maybe it came through a voice. Maybe it came through a line on a screen. Maybe it came through a memory you had not touched in years. You tried to explain it away, but it came back again with peace and pressure together. The first sign was not dramatic, because God was not trying to impress people around you. He was reaching you. He was writing in a language your spirit already understands. The message was not for the crowd. It was for the hidden part of you that still recognizes divine instruction before logic can explain it. And this is why clarity matters so deeply for a chosen one. Sometimes the problem is not that God stopped speaking. Sometimes the mind has been carrying so much noise that the spirit hears heaven, but the brain cannot hold the signal long enough to obey it. That is not failure. That is pressure. Later in this message, I will share a simple 7-minute audio called The Genius Song, created around gamma reactivation. Many chosen ones use it when their inner signal feels dim, scattered, or buried under pressure. Not as a replacement for prayer, not as a shortcut around God. Think of it as quiet support for the clarity you were born to carry. If your spirit has felt foggy, dull, or strangely disconnected from what once felt natural, keep that in your heart. I will return to it later, but for now, we must follow what Michael is pleading for you to see. The second sign was delay. Something slowed down when you wanted it to move. A response did not come. A meeting changed. A plan shifted. A door looked open, then suddenly became heavy. You felt blocked, but the blockage was not always punishment. God was writing through the delay. He was saying, "Not yet." He was saying, "Wait until the motive shows itself." He was saying, "Do not run into what looks ready before I finish revealing what is hidden behind it." Delay was protection wearing an uncomfortable face. Last week, one delay may have frustrated you, yet that delay carried mercy. It kept you from moving too soon. It kept you from answering from panic. It kept you from accepting a counterfeit because the real thing was taking longer than your wounded heart wanted. The enemy wanted you to misread that delay. He wanted you angry at God. He wanted you rushing to fix what heaven was intentionally slowing. But if you look carefully, what did not happen last week may have saved you from what you could not see. The third sign was misalignment. Something that used to feel normal began to feel wrong. A habit lost its comfort. A person felt different. A place felt smaller. A conversation drained you faster than before. You did not hate it, but you could no longer rest in it. That was separation beginning inside you. God often removes your appetite before He removes the object. He changes how something feels, so you stop calling it home. He lets your peace withdraw first because your heart may still be attached to what your spirit has outgrown. This is where many chosen ones get confused. You think something must be evil before you can leave it. You think someone must betray you openly before you are allowed to step back. But sometimes God gives you discomfort before disaster because He is kind. Last week, that discomfort was not weakness. It was discernment rising through old attachment. It was your spirit saying, "This no longer carries the oil for where I am going." It was heaven making the familiar feel foreign so you would stop confusing history with destiny. The three signs are becoming clear now. What repeated was confirmation. What delayed was protection. What felt wrong was separation. These were not scattered events. They were letters in the same sentence, written across your week by the hand of God. But the enemy is subtle. He did not need to burn the letter. He only needed to scatter your focus. He needed you tired enough to forget the repetition, bitter enough to resent the delay, and guilty enough to ignore the discomfort. That is why Michael is pleading. Not because the message is gone, not because you failed beyond repair, not because heaven is closing the door on you. He is pleading because you are standing at the place where interpretation decides direction. If you interpret repetition as accident, you will miss confirmation. If you interpret delay as rejection, you will force movement. If you interpret discomfort as fear, you will stay with what God is trying to separate from you. Interpretation is the battlefield right now. There is a reason this is coming now. You are near a decision. You are near a shift. You are near a moment where the old pattern will try to dress itself as comfort again. And if you do not understand last week, you may repeat what God just interrupted. Do not repeat it. Do not run back because silence feels uncomfortable. Do not chase the person who only becomes tender when you start leaving. Do not force open the door that only responds when you abandon your peace. Heaven has already marked the counterfeit. The repeated thing was not loud. The delayed thing was not empty. The uncomfortable thing was not random. These were the first pieces of the message, and they were written close to your daily life because God wanted you to recognize them without needing another person to approve them. This is why you felt strange last week. This is why your sleep changed. This is why old spaces felt tight. This is why one sentence kept circling. Heaven was not confusing you. Heaven was pulling you into awareness before the enemy could pull you into agreement. Now breathe for a moment. Let your spirit settle. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You did not ruin the message by missing it the first time. God knows how to repeat what matters when His chosen child is still learning to trust the signal. But stay close, because the next part goes deeper. The enemy did not need to erase what God wrote. He only needed to make you doubt the way it came. And once doubt touched the message, confusion tried to dress itself as wisdom. Chosen one, Now you must understand why Michael is standing near this message. He is not the source of the word. God is the source. Michael is the guardian around what God has spoken. He comes where there is warfare, where delay is being misread, and where a chosen vessel is about to question the very instruction that was sent to protect them. Michael does not plead because heaven is weak. He pleads because your agreement matters. God can write the message, heaven can guard the timing, and angels can war around your path. But you still have to recognize the signal and choose not to call it nothing. This is why the enemy attacked your interpretation. He did not only attack your schedule, he did not only attack your sleep, he did not only attack your emotions. He attacked the place inside you that decides whether a sign is divine instruction or just another passing thought. There is a pattern in the way heaven moves. The message often arrives before the explanation. The instruction often comes before the evidence. The warning often touches your spirit before your mind can prove why it matters. Because God protects his chosen ones before danger becomes visible. Think about Daniel. His answer was released, but a battle delayed what he could see. The delay did not mean God had ignored him. The silence did not mean heaven was empty. A war was happening behind the curtain while Daniel remained faithful in the place of prayer. That is why your delay last week cannot be judged only by what your eyes saw. Some doors do not open fast because there is a battle around the door. Some answers feel slow because heaven is arranging what you cannot touch. Some pauses are protection in motion. Think about David. He was anointed long before the throne looked available. He carried the oil before he carried the crown, and for a season, his life looked more like hiding than promotion. But heaven had already written the message before people understood the meaning. Think about the prophet who was told to write the vision and make it plain. There are times when heaven does not only speak to comfort you, heaven speaks so you can preserve the instruction. It must be remembered. It must be guarded. It must not be edited by fear. That is what is happening now. God wrote something over your week, but the enemy wanted emotions to rewrite it. He wanted frustration to rewrite delay as rejection. He wanted guilt to rewrite separation as cruelty. He wanted exhaustion to rewrite repetition as meaningless noise. This is how spiritual instruction often arrives. It comes as repetition, it comes as interruption, it comes as removal, it comes as a dream you cannot shake. It comes as peace where you expected fear, or discomfort where you expected excitement. The enemy knows this. That is why he does not always attack the message directly. He attacks your nervous system. He attacks your rest. He overloads your mind with unfinished thoughts, old conversations, future worries, and accusations that make divine instruction feel buried under noise. You thought you were just distracted. You thought you were just tired. You thought your mind was simply busy. But some of that noise was warfare against clarity, because if you cannot hold the message clearly, you may obey the counterfeit confidently. This is why discernment matters more than speed. The enemy loves rushed decisions. He loves emotional decisions. He loves decisions made from loneliness, pressure, panic, and the fear of being left behind. Heaven does not push like that. Heaven leads with weight and peace together. Now listen carefully. You are not crazy because you noticed patterns. You are not unstable because one sentence kept repeating in your mind. You are not weak because your body reacted before your logic caught up. That is often how a watchman receives warning. A watchman senses before the crowd sees. A watchman wakes before the city moves. A watchman feels tension before the gate is touched. This is not a curse. It is a responsibility, but it must be carried with clarity or it becomes exhaustion. That is why gamma matters in this message. Not because science replaces heaven, not because a sound can do what only God can do, but because your mind and body are the vessel through which you carry attention, memory, focus, and obedience. When the brain is exhausted, scattered, and locked in survival rhythm, even a true impression can feel distant. The spirit may recognize heaven, but the mind may struggle to hold the signal long enough to act on it. That is where many chosen ones misunderstand themselves. This is why I mentioned the Genius song earlier. I will return to it more fully soon, because there is a reason this 7-minute gamma-focused audio matters for a chosen one whose clarity has felt dim. Not as a replacement for prayer, not as a substitute for obedience. It matters because the vessel needs support. If your mind has been foggy, if your intuition feels muted, if your focus keeps breaking right when you try to listen, then your spirit may be ready for more than comfort. It may be ready for restoration. But do not run ahead yet. This moment is still about the message God wrote. The tool matters only because the message matters. Clarity matters only because obedience matters. And obedience matters because what God protected you from last week is connected to what He is preparing next. The enemy does not fear you hearing a nice message. He fears you understanding the instruction. He does not fear your emotion for a few minutes. He fears your obedience after the emotion fades, when you refuse to return to what God exposed. That is why He tried to bury last week under ordinary language. He wanted you to say, "It was just a delay. It was just a mood. It was just a repeated phrase. It was just a strange dream." But heaven was saying, pay attention. There is a difference between paranoia and discernment. Paranoia brings torment. Discernment brings warning with a path to peace. Paranoia scatters your mind. Discernment focuses your spirit. Paranoia makes you suspicious of everything, but discernment makes you obedient about the one thing God is highlighting. What did God highlight last week? That is the question. Not what frightened you, not what annoyed you, not what people pressured you to choose. What carried the repeated weight, the blocked timing, and the quiet separation all at once. Chosen one, heaven is not confused about your life. The confusion is not coming from God. The confusion comes when you try to keep every door open after God has already placed His hand on one. It comes when you ask for peace while negotiating with misalignment. Stay with me, because the next part becomes deeply personal. God did not only write what happened last week, He wrote why it happened. And this is the part the enemy never wanted you to interpret correctly. The message was not about punishment. It was not about rejection. It was not about God pulling back from you. The message was about protection, separation, and the restoration of your discernment before the next door opens. It was not about what you lost. It was about what God refused to let follow you. Chosen one, now the message becomes clear. God wrote this over your week. Do not return to what I removed. Do not chase what I delayed. Do not explain what I exposed. Do not call a closed door rejection when it was protection. Read that slowly in your spirit. Do not return. Do not chase. Do not explain. Do not rename protection as loss. This is the line Michael was guarding, because the enemy knew that if you understood this part, the old pattern would lose its power. You were not being punished. You were being separated. You were not being ignored. You were being guarded. You were not being delayed because heaven forgot your name. You were being delayed because mercy was standing between you and a counterfeit door. The enemy wanted you offended. That was the trap. He wanted you tired enough to misread mercy. He wanted you lonely enough to run back. He wanted you embarrassed enough to explain yourself to people who were never assigned to understand your obedience. But God was not asking you to explain. He was asking you to discern. That is why the same sign repeated. That is why the delay felt heavy. That is why your peace left certain spaces. Heaven was not trying to make your life confusing. Heaven was trying to make the counterfeit visible. Here is the hidden blocker. You did not miss the message because God failed to speak. You almost missed it because your inner signal has been under pressure. Your spirit heard something, but your mind kept questioning it before your obedience could rise. That pressure has been real. You have been carrying too many voices, old words, old wounds, old fears, future worries, other people's emotions. And when the mind becomes crowded, Even a divine instruction can feel faint before it becomes clear. This is why the enemy attacked your clarity. Not only your money, not only your relationships, not only your sleep. He attacked the inner place where you know what God is highlighting, because if that place becomes blurry, you can stand beside a warning and still call it nothing. But today, that blur is breaking. The message was not lost, the sign was not wasted, the delay was not empty. God is restoring your ability to recognize divine instruction before the old version of you talks you out of obeying it. And this is where I must speak carefully. Some chosen ones are not losing faith. They are losing clarity. They still love God. They still pray. They still want to obey. But their mind feels foggy, scattered, tired, and slow right when they need to hear the next instruction. That is why I mentioned the Genius song earlier. It is a simple 7-minute digital audio designed around brain entrainment and gamma reactivation. You listen with stereo headphones, sit quietly, and allow the audio to support the part of your mind that carries focus, intuition, and flow. This is not a replacement for prayer. This is not a replacement for obedience. This is not a shortcut around God. It is simply a tool for the chosen one whose inner signal has felt dim and who knows that clarity is not a luxury in this season. Gamma is often connected with sharp focus, creative insight, sudden understanding, and those moments when everything finally clicks. Many chosen ones remember feeling that way as children, learning quickly, sensing deeply, creating freely, and knowing things before anyone explained them. But life has a way of dimming that gift. Pressure, schooling, survival, disappointment, noise. Over time, the mind can begin to live below the level it was created for. The old brightness feels buried, and the person begins to wonder where their former self went. Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years studying the brain and the way sound patterns can influence mental states. His work draws from research connected with places like Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Princeton, Harvard, and other leading research universities. But the power is in how simple he made it. Instead of forcing you into complicated practice, he placed the method inside a 7-minute audio. No long ritual, no perfect meditation posture, no written mantra, just stereo headphones, a quiet place, and 7 minutes a day where your mind can be supported back toward clarity. More than 18,366 people have already used the Genius song. And what matters even more is that the refund rate is framed below 4%, which means the overwhelming majority continued past the protection window because they felt it was worth keeping. That does not mean everyone feels the same thing on the same day. Some people feel clearer quickly. Some notice small changes after steady use. Some simply realize one morning that their thoughts are less heavy, their decisions are less delayed, and their inner knowing has become easier to trust. If you have tried meditation apps around $15 a month, courses that cost $100 to $200, retreats that cost $400 to $800, or even therapy sessions around $150, you know how quickly support can become expensive. Some professional clinics charge around $300 for biofeedback sessions. Yet most of those options do not specifically focus on gamma reactivation in this simple way. The Genius song was originally $49, but for viewers of this message, it is $39 one time. You also receive 4 bonuses with it. Genius Child, valued at $19 for helping a younger mind stay close to its natural spark. A classic book, valued at $20, connected with deeper principles of prosperity and thought. Guided visualization, valued at $29, for walking through key areas of life with more focus. You also receive the 5-habit infographic, valued at $12, so you can keep the activation supported in daily life. Together, those bonuses carry $80 in added value, and they come with the $39 audio access, without making this feel like another subscription pulling from you every month. There is also a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you use it and decide it is not for you, you can ask for a full refund. You do not return a digital product. You still keep the $80 in bonuses because your time and trust should be treated with respect. But I need to protect you here. There are counterfeit versions using the name of the genius song. Some are only ordinary sounds. Some do not carry the real brain entrainment structure. Do not search for it on Amazon, YouTube, Spotify, or random websites. The original access is placed below this video and in the pinned comment. That is where the real audio, the bonuses, and the 90-day protection stay together. Use that path only if your spirit feels this is connected to your clarity in this season. Now pause. Take one slow breath. Place your hand over your heart if you can. This decision is not really about $39. It is about whether you are ready to stop doubting the signal God placed in you and begin guarding your clarity like a sacred assignment. If your answer is yes, your next step is simple. The link is in the description and the pinned comment. Receive it from there, then return to this message with your spirit settled. Because what God wrote last week was never meant to stay hidden. And if your spirit does not feel ready, stay anyway. The message still belongs to you. No pressure, no fear, just truth. God is restoring discernment, and every tool, every warning, every delay, and every repeated sign must bow to the instruction He has placed over your life. The final line of the message is not a warning. It is an instruction. Do not go back to the room where your peace kept dying. Do not run after the door that only opens when you abandon yourself. Do not explain your separation to those who profited from your confusion. You are not cruel for obeying. You are not selfish for protecting peace. You are not unstable because your spirit moved before your mouth had language. You are a watchman, and the message God wrote last week was not about what you lost. It was about what He refused to let follow you. Chosen one, now the message must be sealed. God did not write it so you could admire it for a moment and then return to confusion. He wrote it so your next step would be clean. He wrote it so your spirit would stop negotiating with what already cost you peace. The full message is no longer hidden. What repeated was confirmation. What delayed was protection. What felt uncomfortable was separation. What brought heaviness was discernment. What brought quiet peace was direction. God did not scatter those signs to confuse you. He placed them across your week so your soul could read them slowly. Do not rush this moment. Let the truth settle. Last week was not wasted. The silence had language. The delay had mercy. The discomfort had wisdom. And the strange pull in your spirit was not emotional weakness. It was heaven placing a boundary where your old self would have kept explaining. You are not going back the same. That is the instruction. You are not returning to the room where your peace kept dying. You are not chasing the door that only opens when you abandon yourself. You are not shrinking your discernment just to make other people comfortable. God is not asking you to hate anyone. He is not asking you to become hard. He is not asking you to walk in pride. He is asking you to stop calling attachment love when it keeps pulling you away from obedience, clarity, and the quiet witness of the Holy Spirit. This is where many chosen ones lose the instruction. They receive the sign, then apologize for receiving it. They feel the warning, then ask everyone else to approve it. They hear the whisper of heaven, then drown it under the opinions of people who never carried their assignment. Do not do that this time. Your peace is not up for public debate. Your obedience does not need a courtroom. Your separation does not need an audience. If God showed you what He showed you last week, then your task is not to prove it. Your task is to guard it. Some of you are still thinking about one person. You know exactly who came to mind. Their name moved through your spirit while this message was unfolding. You may love them, you may miss them, but love is not permission to return to a place God already exposed. Some of you are thinking about one door. It looked promising. It looked familiar. It looked like the kind of answer you once prayed for, but when you got close, your peace became thin, and your inner witness stepped back before your mind could explain why. That was God protecting you. Do not call it fear just because it interrupted desire. Do not call it overthinking just because it challenged your plan. Discernment often feels inconvenient before it feels wise, because it arrives before your emotions are ready to surrender. In the next 7 days, pay attention to what becomes peaceful after you release it. That is a sign. Pay attention to what becomes heavy when you try to force it. That is a sign. Pay attention to what keeps repeating without manipulation, because heaven is still circling the instruction. A counterfeit will also try to reappear. It may come gently. It may sound apologetic. It may look like closure. But if it requires you to abandon the boundary God gave you, it is not closure. It is a test wearing familiar clothing. Stand still. Listen deeper. Ask for peace, not just opportunity. Ask for clarity, not just movement. Ask for the courage to obey what you already know, because many delays in your life were not caused by the absence of instruction, but by fear of honoring it. God is restoring your discernment now. Not someday, not after everyone understands you. Now. The place inside you that kept second-guessing every holy nudge is being strengthened. The voice of fear is losing authority. You will not need to beg for signs forever. You are learning the language. You are learning how heaven writes, through timing, repetition, interruption, and peace. You are learning that divine instruction does not always arrive loudly, but it always carries weight. If this message exposed the noise around your inner signal, do not leave that clarity unguarded. The original audio I mentioned is placed in the description and in the pinned comment. Do not search for it elsewhere, because the real support and protection belong together there. Now breathe. Let your shoulders drop. You do not have to carry every voice anymore. You do not have to solve every reaction. You do not have to explain every boundary. The Father saw last week. Heaven recorded the signs. Michael guarded the message. Place your hand over your heart. Not as a performance. Not as a ritual to impress anyone. Just as a quiet agreement that your spirit will stop running from the truth God has already made clear. Father, open my eyes to the message you already wrote. I receive the signs without fear. I receive the delay without bitterness. I receive the separation without guilt. I will not call your protection rejection, and I will not call your warning confusion. I renounce every counterfeit signal. I release the need to force what you have not blessed. I release the need to explain what you have already exposed. I release the fear of being misunderstood, because obedience is more important than being approved by people. I will not return to what you removed. I will not chase what you delayed. I will not rebuild what your mercy interrupted. I will not let loneliness lead me back into bondage, and I will not let guilt make me betray my peace. I receive divine clarity. I receive holy discernment. I receive the courage to obey before everything makes sense. If you speak through repetition, I will listen. If you speak through delay, I will wait. If you speak through discomfort, I will pay attention. I am your chosen one. I am not abandoned. I am not behind. I am not too late. I am being guided, guarded, corrected, and restored. My spirit hears heaven, my mind becomes quiet, and my steps come back into alignment. Archangel Michael, guard what God has written over my life. Guard the instruction from confusion. Guard the boundary from guilt. Guard the message from counterfeit voices. Let every attack against my discernment be broken, and let every false signal lose its power. Father, if the next door is from you, let peace meet me there. If the next door is counterfeit, let my spirit refuse it quickly. If the old pattern returns, give me strength to recognize it before my emotions make excuses for it. I declare that the message is received. I declare that the signs are no longer wasted. I declare that last week was not random. It was a written warning, a guarded instruction, and a merciful protection from the hand of God. Now, chosen one, seal it with your words. Type, I receive the message. Not as a comment only, not as a phrase for others to see. Type it as an agreement that your spirit will not ignore what heaven has worked so patiently to reveal. The emergency was not that God forgot you. The emergency was that you were close to forgetting the language he used. But now you remember. Repetition was confirmation. Delay was protection. Discomfort was separation. Peace was direction. Walk slowly, move cleanly. Guard your spirit. Do not go back. The message God wrote last week has found you, and now your only assignment is to obey it with peace.